Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. It is the week of Mother's Day. I hope everybody is ready for Mother's Day. I hope that this podcast and this little announcement is reminding you that, hey, this Sunday is Mother's Day, so if you haven't got anything for your mom, get it now, or else you're never going to hear the end of it. I have not gotten anything yet at this time of the recording, but I assure you I have not forgotten, and I will be getting something that is super loving and super appreciative of all the things that my mom has done. And I hope that you all can do the same thing, because it's an important day, and as you get older, as you continue to live and, share this time with your loving mother, you realize that this day is not just any ordinary day. I feel like it's a special day where you really should be showing love to your mom. Get her something nice. At the moment, we plan to go to this, I think, brunch we're going to on Sunday, where I am super excited to go because I've never been in this place before. I think it's like a buffet or something. And I've heard that it's a really, really good buffet with a lot of good food. So hopefully, it is good. I have not been to a buffet in a long, long time. I know if you probably get a look at me, you probably think that you went last week. What are you talking about, fatty? It's true, though. I haven't been to a buffet in a long time. There hasn't been many good buffets that are around me that I've heard of that people are like, you should check this buffet out. It's so good. It's incredible. The price is not that bad, but the food is pretty good. The last one I went to, this was like maybe about 10 years ago, maybe even more, I'm not too sure. Hometown Buffet. Not very good, in my opinion. I know it was 10 years ago. Maybe it wasn't the best day to go, but from what I remember, Hometown Buffet was not my ideal buffet experience that they probably thought that I would have. The service was good because you serve yourself, so you can get up and get whatever food you want. You don't gotta wait for shit. Just get up and get your chow. The food, on the other hand, was not very tasty to me, but that is kind of the trade-off with a buffet, right? A buffet normally has decent food in large quantities. You can get whatever you want. You can chow down as many plates of this food as you would like, but the food's going to be just all right. And I think that, I would prefer to pay, a decent amount for like one plate of food that's really good, in my opinion. Buffet, usually, you just eat till you're full and that's it. In my experience, I haven't like I said, I haven't been to a buffet in over 10 years, so it's going to be a brand new experience for me, but I guess I just got to be in this, right mindset to be at a buffet. I guess I should, show up with a very empty stomach, not having not eaten until then. I think we're going to, plan to be there, at 11 in the morning, so I won't eat breakfast. I'll just, wake up, get ready, and go. Depending on what time I wake up, but that's going to be the plan for Sunday. But I'm excited because, again, I haven't been to a buffet, and I've heard that this one's pretty good. So who knows? Maybe I'll actually end up eating, a lot of food. I don't normally eat that much food as I used to anymore, but, given the circumstances, given the day of what it's going to be a celebration. Why not? Why not just, go hard like I used to for one day? I think I will. Depending on how much I can actually stomach, how much food I can actually put away. I plan to eat at least 2 plates of chow, depending on how good it is. If it's okay, I might be disappointed, and I might be like, nah, I'll probably never come back. But if it's good, I'll probably, I'll show up again. The buffet that I used to go to, though, Not hometown, but there was another one at a casino we used to go to. It had some really good food. Overall, very good. And American, Chinese, Italian, Mexican. I think the best food I think that you can get at a buffet that's usually always going to be pretty good is Italian food. The Italian food section at a buffet is usually pretty good all the time because they have pizza. Pizza is like in itself a buffet food already. Like it's already like considered like a party type food, buffet food where you can get like large quantities of it. It's not super hard to make. It's pretty easy. You know, it serves a lot of people. You get multiple slices, you can fill up on it. It's versatile food. So usually when I go to a buffet, I always get the most of like pizza and stuff because it's just the easiest. It usually is the tastiest. It's hard to screw up like pizza like that. You know, you can make some pretty bad pizza. Don't get me wrong, but like when you're going to a buffet, like I just want a lot of chow. Like pizza is one of the items where you can just like eat a lot of it. You know, the thing is one of the places I actually wound up not enjoying as much as I used to was John's Incredible Pizza. John's Incredible Pizza to me has gone south as an experience for me. And maybe because I'm also an adult now, I just don't normally like to be in rooms in a lot of places where there's like a lot of like yelling, screaming, running around kids just everywhere. And I get it, it's a kid's place, right? But I still enjoy eating a lot of pizzas. You know, eating a lot of pizza is awesome. So I guess I do have to backtrack on my statement. I have been to John's Incredible within the past year. So that does count as a buffet. But it is a pizza buffet, so it's not really too much of everything else that you normally get at like, you know, general buffets. So I have been to John's Incredible Pizza. But that's also, you know, connected to like an arcade where you can play games and shit. You know, kids are all over the place and it's just kind of annoying. But, you know, I started to hate going to John's Incredible Pizza though. Hate it. Because of that reason. So many kids, it's always packed. I feel like we can never get a good spot to sit down and enjoy it. And sometimes the pizza's really good. Sometimes it's not. Usually it's really good. But I think that the overall experience, just being surrounded by all these yelling kids that run away from their parents and just yell and scream and be annoying and break the ice cream machine so I can't get ice cream, kind of an annoying thing. You know, I just kind of found like, you know what? I would much rather never, ever, ever step foot in this place ever again. And recently, some of my friends have suggested, hey, how about we all go to John's Incredible Pizza? And I am quickly like, absolutely not. We will not go there. I will not go there ever again. So if you want me to attend this, if you want me to go, I will not go. I just can't, for the life of me, do this again. It is far too painful, far too annoying. I don't want to sit there and be just in a room where I can't really hear what people are saying because there's so many kids yelling and screaming. And not just them, though, too. The adults that go there are also very cringe. You know, some of them have no kids, degenerates like myself who just go there. And, you know, you don't know that you're cringe until you see other cringe do exactly what you're doing. And then you have to say to yourself, oh shit, I'm cringe. Perfect example is seeing an adult group of people also go to John's Incredible Pizza for a bite to eat. I've seen that many times. And I'm like, what fucking losers? Ah, shit. I'm here too. God, I'm a loser as well. It's one of the most painful realizations in an adult person's life. Saying that you are also the thing that you hate the most. Like, I despise nerds. I really do. Nerds can be some of the most insufferable people on the planet. Yelling at you for saying something that they don't like, getting something wrong and them correcting you on it, and you're like, you goddamn nerd, what is wrong with you? And yet here I am, a man, 30 years old, and I saw Dune Part 2 3 times. So I guess I'm kind of a nerd as well. So it hurts me in my soul that when I see myself and other people that I despise and I can no longer look at, and I'm like, oh no, I am that person. That person is me. I'm no better than that person. And I'm the one talking shit. I'm the one talking smack. When I really shouldn't be. Because I'm just that person. And then that's like the realization also too when you're an adult. Like, you are at the age, at least I am at the age, when you feel like you got it all figured out. You got it all under control. And then yet you still see who you really are. Cringe. You're like, oh God, how could this be? How could I become the thing I swore to never become? It's very annoying. It's annoying for me, for a lot of people, I think, that are out there that just like try to go through their day-to-day lives by not being cringe. Yet here we are. Another place I think that has been ruined for me to go there for, dinner, just to eat, to survive. Dave & Buster's. Dave & Buster's, when it came to my area, the neck of the woods where I live, it was at first adults only, an adult-only arcade and restaurant where you can go with your buds who are also adults, eat, play some games, have some drinks, have a good old-fashioned good time, good jolly old time. We can just turn our brains off and, be with each other in person and have a lot of fun. And what did Dave & Buster's do? Well, they went back on what they said. They decided to no longer just make it about adults. They had to include children as well. And what happens then when you get children at Dave & Buster's? Well, at Dave & Buster's, where, the games there are a lot better than the games at Chuck E. Cheese. The games there are meant more for adults to enjoy. You're not going to get some janky-ass, broken-ass Chuck E. Cheese arcade game at a Dave & Buster's. You're going to get the high-end, high-maintenance, cooler version, adult version of that same type of game that you would get at Chuck E. Cheese for a 5-year-old. And what did the kids do? As soon as they saw, holy shit, have you guys seen the games at Dave & Buster's? They're so much better than the ones at Chuck E. Cheese. Mom, I want my birthday at Dave & Buster's. And then what happens then? Every other mom in the country wants to do the same thing. And every single weekend, when I would want to go, is flooded with 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old kids' birthday parties and tons of kids ruining the adults' fun. And of course, Dave & Buster's, preaching that this is a place for adults where you don't have to take your kids, no kids allowed. What do? They bend the knee and they open it up to kids at all periods of the day. Of course, Dave & Buster's is not going to say no to more money. Of course, they know that, hey, adults, we got a lot to compete with the adult market, right? There's bars, there's casinos. How can we, as a arcade, compete and get the adults to come to our place rather than those other places where they can have probably even more fun and things that adults will want to do, like gamble and just drink, or the club and dance, right? And they're like, yeah, what were we thinking? An arcade for adults? Those exist already. They're called casinos, people. Of course, Dave and Buster's is going to backtrack and go, hey, kids, you're welcome to come through. You're welcome to come and play our games and have all the fun you want. In fact, there's no longer restrictions for the kids. You can come whenever the hell you want and have as much fun as possible and play all the games and get them all sticky. That way, no adult would ever want to come in and play a game again. Now, that's what happened, I feel like. Now, I haven't been to Dave & Buster's in about 2 years, maybe 3 years. But when I did go there, from the first time to the last time, I'm like, oh man, this place has gone downhill big time. Big time. They have totally bent the knee. Like, hey kids, you're welcome. Your place is ours. We bow down to you. Bring as many friends as you can. And get all tickets. All get game cards and run up your parents' credit card bill for this place. Tell them to order more food. And hey, bring as many people as you want because we'll charge you all for that. So I get it. I see why Dave & Buster's was like, you know what? We gotta jump on this market, you know? To hell with the adults, man. The kids. All the kids, because the kids are essentially in charge of the parents, and the parents will just bring their kids to have some fun and shut the hell up while they play our games and give us money. It's essentially what happened, you know? How many times do you watch, or if you ever like track like box office, right? If you're a movie nerd like me and you track box office and you see what movies are super, super profitable, like what movies out there right now are extremely popular, besides like franchises like, you know, big budget movies and stuff like that get the most people to see their movies, right? What kind of movies do you think that generate usually the most revenue, the most profit? Kids movies. Kids movies make a ton of money, and it's not even funny. Like, if I'm gonna pull up for you right now the domestic box office reports for current movies that are in the theaters right now. Right now, Kung Fu Panda 4 is currently in theaters. So far, worldwide, Kung Fu Panda 4 has made $520 million. That's more than $500 million. Do you think that adults are willing to go out and watch Kung Fu Panda enough for it to generate $520 million? The answer is no. That is all parents taking their children, parents taking parties of children to go see these movies. The sheer, like, kids are like a well of money to these companies. Why do you think that they make so many toys? Because kids will tell their mom and dad to buy them the toys, or they'll scream. It's crazy how much, like, children are like because, you know, parents love them. We're going to do what we want to make our kids happy. Mom, I want to see Kung Fu Panda, and I want to take 10 of my friends. Like, sure, sweetie, we'll do it. And that's how this movie made so much money. And I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it deserves it or not. But that's just what I'm saying. Like, that's crazy. Like, how many, you know, you got to think that a lot of the people that saw that movie, Kung Fu Panda, are going to be children, right? That's just, you know, the demographic of the movie. But it's still kind of crazy how it still made that much money being a kid's movie. Now, I have not seen, I'm not going to look up like Despicable Me numbers, but I'm pretty sure if I were to guess that Despicable Me's, the theater grosses, are probably incredible. Yeah, they're probably insane. Probably even bigger and bigger than Kung Fu Panda 4, right? Now, switch over to a movie that is more for adults that made a lot of money this year. Dune Part 2 right now has made $708 million. And I would imagine that a lot of that, maybe about 80% of the audiences that saw this movie are adult. I would assume that they're going to be adults, maybe some teens, but not like little small kids, like 5-year-olds are not lining up to see Dune Part 2. That's just not going to happen. So it's kind of crazy how you can see, like, Jesus, the kids drove that market and drove the money for Kung Fu Panda. I didn't know a soul in my friend group or anyone I knew that's an adult that saw Kung Fu Panda 4. You got to be kidding me. I mean, I'll just wait for a DVR or something like that, Crazy. Weird when you think about it, But now I see why a place like Dave & Buster's would just succumb and go against their code, their upbringing, what they used to be in order to make more money. They're sellouts, essentially. They're big freaking sellouts. But you know what? I guess a man's got to do what a man's got to do. In order to make some money, make a profit for your company, you're going to have to bend the rules and kind of go back on what you originally promised, Anyways, what do I know? What I do know, though, this past weekend was the roast of Tom Brady live on Netflix. Now, I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but I've seen parts, and I was able to check in when it was still live on a great moment in the live roast of Tom Brady. I saw Tony Hinchcliffe, comedian known for Kill Tony, absolutely destroy Tom Brady and everybody else that was on the stage to roast Tom Brady. And the amount of artistry that goes into roasting people, I think, is unbelievable, because everyone likes to roast people. I like to roast my friends. My friends like to roast me. We all try to do a funny spin on it. We all really, really try to do, put a little comedy in it. Make people laugh while we're insulting people, because roasting is an art. It isn't just making fun of people. It is, but at the same time, you got to make other people laugh. You can't really do that if you're just being mean to them. You got to make it a little funny. And you can't really go, full on mean when you're going funny. It's just not in the cards, right? People are going to laugh. Like for myself, usually when I get roasted, I tend to laugh at my own roasting me, because I enjoy self-mockery. Now, Tom Brady is a person that I don't think that really much enjoys self-mockery. There's a couple times where I think it was Jeff Ross, he made a joke about Robert Kraft and like a massage, and then he's like, Tom Brady straight up walked up to Jeff Ross and was like, quote, "We don't say that shit." So I think he struck a nerve when he was roasting him for something. I ain't really sure why he was that mad. I never looked into it, but it might have been something with something getting him into really deep shit a couple years ago, but I can't remember. But that isn't really what I was bringing this up for. One, it was super funny. I need to rewatch the entire thing because I think I only got 30 minutes of it. It's like a more than 3 hour long roast altogether. But I did stumble on something that has been since removed from the stream, because when Netflix started to do their live thing, their live shows, I believe it was the first one that they did was Chris Rock's comedy special about a year ago. That thing was live. I watched it live. It was really good, really well done live. But this one they did too. And once they finish the live, maybe about like an hour after they finish it, they re-upload it. They upload the stream edited, so it's not really the full thing. Well, news broke out today that Netflix edited out the boos when Kim Kardashian went up to the stage. Now, I was there live, not there in person in Los Angeles, but I was on Netflix at that moment while it was happening live. She had like maybe a full like 10 seconds of boos when she went up to the podium to say something. And Netflix removed the boos. For some reason, it was so strange. They decided to edit out that part of the special, of the roast, when it wasn't even considered like in a way like offending the person who was being roasted in a way. But because she was Kim Kardashian, Netflix was like, should we cut this out, or should we, leave, let Kim decide? It's crazy because there was someone who was being roasted and literally getting roasted to hell, and Tom Brady. A lot of funny things were said. A lot of wild things were said. We're all kept in there. But boos to Kim Kardashian were taken out. I would have to imagine that she probably contacted Netflix and was like, please remove the boos that were booed towards against me when I went up to the podium for the roast. I could only imagine a person like Kim Kardashian being like, please, Netflix, take them out now. I can't imagine Tom Brady being like, take him out for my girl Kim, please. She don't deserve it. This was about me and not her. In that case, if Kim Kardashian asked for the boos to be removed, what a wimp. What a weenie. Like, Kim, you must understand that the entire world doesn't like you. I mean, like, you should be kind of used to it by now. I mean, people hate the Kardashians. People hate that lady a lot. I don't really hate her. I don't really have any reason to hate her. I never really watched the Kardashian show. I saw, like, bits and pieces because my sister would watch it, but, like, I don't really see, like, the big hatred towards her or her family. I mean, they're rich because they have a TV show. I don't even know why they had a TV show in the first place, but they're rich because of it. They made a lot of money. They made a lot of investments, and they were smart with their cash. Cool. That's fine. I honestly wasn't really, super shocked by the boos because a lot of people just hate her just to hate her. I figured she would be a little bit more stronger than that, though. Like, if she did ask, like, please remove the boos or I will be very sad, I would think that maybe she would be much, at this point in her life, being hated so much, I guess maybe have a thicker skin. I don't know, though. I'm also not in her shoes, but I feel like, interesting. Why would they do that? I don't know. I can only imagine how Tom Brady felt, though. Like, Tom Brady was getting absolutely roasted, which, is what he signed up for. This is what he wanted in the roast of, what was it called? The greatest roast of all time. They went out on him. They brought up his wife. It was beautiful. His ex-wife, Giselle. Beautiful. By the way, Giselle, I DM'd you like 2 years ago. Where's my response, sweetheart? But it was crazy. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of comedians. Robert Kraft was there. Other football players. Bill Belichick. It was quite a fun thing to experience. Quite a fun thing to see live. Now, besides the point, it was awesome to see that happen. To a guy that has had an incredible career, an incredible life. That we can still poke fun at all the things that happened and made them funny. Again, like pretty much all the jokes that were told by the comedians were like so hilarious, so funny. And even Gronkowski went up there, and he had some good ones too. And he ain't no comedian, so it was kind of funny to see like how he was gonna take all that stuff. Randy Moss was one of the funnier ones too, because he brought up like because he was on the Patriots for like a couple years, and he was on the year when they had like the perfect record going into the Super Bowl, and then they lost to the Giants, and he was like on the roast panel like, why the fuck couldn't we cheat when I was there? Oh man, it was so funny. I mean, I couldn't believe like actually how funny everybody was on the roast, and that Tom was like, kind of going with it and having fun too. Man, it was such a good time. I mean, like, I know I need to watch the whole thing, but still the fact that he had a roast like that, never would have saw that coming. Never would have been like, oh, I can't wait for Tom Brady to be roasted in a couple years. No, that I mean, I never would have crossed my mind. I think that Tom Brady is now, well, first of all, officially retired, and having fun with his life. And I guess if being someone who wants to be like, hey, world, roast me. I'm like the best like pro athlete of all time in the United States. Roast the shit out of me. And the fact that everybody brought it so hard on Tom Brady is incredible. I don't want to really give it away, but comedian Nikki Glazer absolutely destroyed Tom Brady and made him look like an absolute fool, and said like pretty much what everyone would be saying when him and Giselle broke up. Like, it was, her roast on Brady was incredible. It was so good. Moving on though. Something that actually disturbed me though, that I saw last week in the news cycle, because like I said, the news is very, very important. I'm just very, very unaware and not plugged into it that much, where I know that these certain things in the news are happening. I'm very uninformed, and I enjoy that. But this thing caught my eye, and it caught my eye and really pulled on my eye and did not let go. In fact, it reached all the way into my brain and grabbed and squeezed my brain so hard that I could not help but, after seeing this, think way too much and let my mind go insane of what I had seen. Apparently, scientists have seen an orangutan in Indonesia apply a medicinal plant to a wound that he got in a fight with another orangutan. Pretty much the first documented sight of an orangutan trying to heal / medicate itself after a fight. And not just, putting it on anything, right? Putting the medicine that is from a leaf in Indonesia that is medicinal, that has pain-killing properties, onto a wound on the orangutan's face. That just blew my mind. That not only blew my mind, but now that sent me into a whirlwind of like, oh my God. We need to do some studies on these boys pretty quickly, because this is getting a little crazy. This is getting pretty wild. Now, if you don't think that is big news, what the hell is the matter with you? You see orangutans in real life, right? They are members of the great apes. They are a species not related to human beings. live in the trees. They're like chimpanzees, like gorillas, like monkeys. They're apes. They're primates, not human. And we get documentation, sightings that this guy who got into a crazy fight. I don't know if he won or not, but he wound up getting a big gash underneath his eye and apply medicine essentially to the wound to treat it. And from what I've seen from the reports of this sighting, that the orangutan did not rub the plant on all of his body. He put it on his wound to soothe the pain. That is incredible. That is one of the most incredible things that I have ever heard, seen in my life. What does that mean? What exactly? Are they evolving faster than we think? Did something happen? Have they been doing this for a long time and we just finally notice, or we finally observe it for ourselves and are like, yo, what are these boys doing? They're putting medicine on their wounds? They're treating wounds now? It's quite incredible. Like, you have to think that, well, how much do they know about this? What more do they know? Like, we need to seriously be watching these guys and seeing what they do and seeing how they live their lives during all this stuff. Quite fascinating, I think. I think that all this is just super fascinating, that we need to stop and look at orangutans, try to see what else they know, what else they can do, and try to see if there's like a missing link there between humans and primates. Like, the primates, I think, the orangutans have done some of the most miraculous things that come close to what we do as human beings, that they do in their own environment and then within their own species. There's a picture of an orangutan hunting fish, I believe, with like a spear that he made, like a sharp stick, and waiting over the water to stab a fish. That's a real picture. That actually happened. And now the fact that they're actually putting medicine essentially on a gash in his face to help with the pain, it's pretty miraculous. You think to yourself, damn, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is coming out this coming up weekend. Might be a good time to check it out, see what they got in store. Maybe have to brush up on this and maybe prepare for the future, because I feel like these orangutans are getting pretty smart. Sooner or later they might be like stepping on our turf, being like, hey, yo, we know medicine now. We know how to heal ourselves. We know how to heal our owies. You better watch out. Not saying that they're going to come for the throne, being top of the food chain like human beings, but I do think that we need to be, maybe observing them more than other apes. Gorillas seem to me like no one really sees anything that's like, in danger of, making us not the top species of Earth. I wouldn't be too worried about gorillas, but orangutans, they seem, when you see orangutans, you think that they're just very shy, very quiet, don't really make as much noise as like chimpanzees or gorillas or even monkeys. But maybe they're just like thinking all the time. Maybe they're like thinking of like, look at these human beings. We're not so different. We're very close, actually. I think that orangutans might be some of the smarter primates out there, especially knowing that they do this, the medicine on the wound. That, to me, not only shocked me, but it freaked me the hell out. I was like, dude, what else can you guys do? What have we not been seeing that you can do, that we have no idea you can do? I feel like we got to do a much more like thorough investigation on these boys. I just feel like that they're hiding something from us, that they know how to do so much more, but we just have not observed them as much as we do other apes. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not scared. I'm just like thinking like, damn, we just are not putting in the effort, I think, to truly see what these animals are capable of. Like I said, we're so busy watching chimpanzees and gorillas, but really orangutans are the ones that we need to be focusing on for sure. All right, moving on to some sports talk. I know people love it when I talk sports, so I'm going to talk sports for a while right now. The NBA playoffs are in the second round, and we are moving actually pretty quick, quicker than I thought we would, to be honest with you, with these NBA playoffs, but nonetheless, we're here. In the West, we have the Nuggets versus the Timberwolves, and we have the Oklahoma City Thunder against the Dallas Mavericks. In the West, we have, the East, rather, we have the Boston Celtics versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the New York Knicks versus the Indiana Pacers. Now, not a whole lot of notable franchises, I would agree, that are remaining in these playoffs. We have the Celtics and we have the Knicks. I guess you could say the Pacers are more notable franchise, and those are in the East. In the West, we really have no notable franchise that a lot of people are familiar with. Got the Bucks, not the Bucks. We have the Timberwolves, like I said, the Nuggets. We have this Thunder, and then the Mavericks. So no Lakers, no Warriors, no Clippers, no Suns, none of that bullshit. Normally, I think that we would say like ratings are going to be bad because none of the notable franchises nor a lot of the notable stars are still in the playoffs. Like I mentioned last week, no LeBron, no Steph, no KD, none of them in the playoffs. None of them at the moment. I got to tell you though, I have never been more intrigued in these playoffs, in these matchups. And I can tell you this, I haven't felt this much of intensity between the remaining teams that are in the playoffs. I haven't felt like this much intensity in a long time, because I feel like every team that's in it is feisty. Every team that is in it has something to prove, and every team that is in it really, really, really wants to win a championship for whatever reason that there may be. Boston, because they've been there and they've lost. They've lost in the finals, I think, a couple times. Maybe just once, but maybe a couple times in the last 4 years. So they've been on there, they've been close, but they just never won it. Denver is the defending champions. They are still very hungry, and they want to win another one. New York is thirsty for a championship. They want to bring back one to New York City, back to the Garden more than anything right now. And you can tell the way their team plays, the way they're coached, that they're on this mission to bring a championship back to Madison Square Garden. And then you got teams like the Timberwolves and the Thunder that are young, aggressive, fighting teams that have young stars that they're trying to break out and shock the world, and pulling off something that, for a long time, winning an NBA championship and winning the finals has been a very, very, very manufactured thing within the past 10 years. What I mean by that is building a big three or building a super team and winning the championship. That has been a thing in the NFL and NBA for at least 10 years, maybe even more, and it has worked ad nauseum. We had the Heat win. We had the Cavaliers win. We had the, this was because they were also homegrown, but also when they had KD, the Warriors win. We've had the Warriors win without KD and win with KD. The Lakers, when they won in the bubble, they had a really good team as well. The Cavaliers, when they won, they had a good team too. The Spurs, when they won, like I mentioned, the Heat. So we've had this archetype of how to win championships in the NBA, the Big Three or the super team. None of these teams remaining, in my opinion, are considered super teams. I guess you could say the Celtics might be, because they have notable stars. They've been there for a while. They made some trades. They have a pretty damn good team. A fearsome team that no one wants to play against. Besides that, though, none of the other teams are super. They're just really good and really well coached. The Timberwolves might be the second when it comes to a super team, other than Boston, with Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. You could sort of say they're somewhat of a big three, somewhat of a super team, but still relatively not really a super team. Just really good players and really, really well coached, like I said. And when it comes to a team like Oklahoma City, they've got, really good players, really young players, and super well coached, defensively sound. I was watching the game a couple days ago. What was it? Denver and Minnesota and Oklahoma City and Dallas. Both those teams, Minnesota and OKC, play such disciplined, such fast pace, defensively impenetrable basketball that Minnesota was straight up frustrating the hell out of Denver and just absolutely locking down Dallas in a way where it seems like these two teams are on a collision course to meet in the NBA Western Conference Finals. Dude, those teams, Minnesota and OKC, are so similar, but so very different at the same time, that it feels like they are just outplaying and outclassing and outdoing everything that these other teams have thrown at them. And the other teams, I mean, Denver and Dallas. It is crazy, how much that these games have been lopsided in a way, because at the moment right now, Minnesota is up 2-0 on Denver. OKC is up 1-0 against Dallas, but you can just kind of see that the younger teams are at the moment just playing and want it a lot more. One, because their players are so locked in and ready and just want to win so bad. Their coaches as well, but also each team, OKC and Minnesota, have a candidate player that could be easily the MVP of the season. With Minnesota, it's Anthony Edwards, and with OKC, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, or SGA. But both those dudes have proven to me, because I've seen the games, that these dudes are for real. They are here, they have risen, and they are feasting on the modern NBA right now. Anthony Edwards is straight up torching these Denver Nuggets. SGA and Chet Holmgren are having their way with the Dallas Mavericks. It is insane to see how these two young teams are what it seems like to me, like destined to play each other in the Western Conference Finals. And even though people are going to say, like, these are not big franchises, these aren't big market teams, no one cares, bro. Like, these two teams straight up have two future stars in the NBA showing up when it matters in the playoffs against a great team like Denver, who are defending champions, and a team in Dallas with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Like, these aren't flukes. These are meaningful teams that they are beating at the moment. Minnesota right now has not lost a game in these playoffs. And I think that Oklahoma City hasn't lost one either. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think that Oklahoma City either hasn't lost one or has only lost a few. Not much. They haven't lost very many. But I know for a fact that Minnesota has not lost yet in these playoffs. It's pretty incredible. And I think that we will be getting Minnesota versus OKC for the Western Conference Finals. And I actually really, really want that to happen. And I want to see that matchup because they play very similar basketball. High intensity, fast paced, lockdown defense. And, I just want to see those guys go at it. It would be such a treat to watch. And on the Eastern side, I'll be honest, I'm rooting for New York versus Boston. Like, that one is going to be crazy to happen for the East Coast. Like, imagine that, the finals, Boston Celtics versus New York Knicks. That series is going to get personal. Like, super personal. Like, the players are good on both sides, but, like, the fan bases are going to go absolutely crazy if that actually happens. Like, if Boston and New York both advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, like, that would be like almost my dream to happen for the Eastern Conference. You get like the two cornerstone franchises in the Eastern Conference that are like, that they should be competing every single year. And Boston, for the most part, has been. New York has been kind of struggling in the past, like, maybe 7-8 years. Now they're on track, and now they're actually a formidable team that could beat a lot of people. Seeing Boston versus New York in the Eastern Conference Finals will be awesome. And then Minnesota versus OKC in the West. That will be just as awesome, if even better, because of the pure basketball integrity and the pure basketball fandom in me that likes watching good-ass basketball. At the moment, both of those teams, all the teams actually that are in it right now, Boston, or at least like the ones that are leading their series is right now at this moment, Boston, New York, Minnesota, and Oklahoma City all play very good basketball. Very good. Right now, Denver is not playing good basketball. Dallas is not playing good basketball. Cleveland is not playing good basketball. Indiana has been matching New York, but New York kind of got away with it in the end in that game and kind of got lucky, if I'm being honest. But Indiana too, like, let's not play around. Indiana is a team that has a lot of pace and that can hit you hard and fast. And I wouldn't be surprised, like totally surprised, if we see Indiana versus Boston. That could be a possibility too. Now, I'm rooting for New York versus Boston, but Indiana versus Boston would be also pretty awesome to see because we can't forget about Indiana. They got a very young team as well, a young and upcoming team, and a very well-coached team. So at the moment, there might not be a lot of high-end, big-name, big-market franchises in the playoffs right now, but dude, the basketball is really good right now. It's really good. And because there's a lot of teams that are, somewhat on the ropes right now, I'm talking to you, Denver, there's still a lot of basketball to be played. And I feel like that we haven't even seen the best of the games yet. So hopefully, my prediction is true. And what I want to see, who moves forward. That would be quite something to see. No one's going to be talking about, oh, these are weak ass playoffs. No one cares. The first round, some of it was mediocre. Obviously, Cleveland and Orlando was electric. But this second round is, we are seeing like a preview of what we could be getting, right? Like I said, OKC and Minnesota, New York, Boston. That's going to be awesome to see if it actually does happen. One more thing in the sports world before I get out of here. Austin Rivers had a pretty controversial, well, not controversial, but he said something that was, sparked some debate, embrace debate, as they say. He essentially said that 30 NBA players, that there are 30 NBA players right now that could play on an NFL roster, but that there are 0 NFL players that could play on an NBA roster. Like 30 NBA players could play on an NFL roster, and 0 NFL players could play on a NBA roster right now. He didn't say who, but that's what he said. And it sparked like a debate, like, could NBA players actually suit up and play football? And what would they be? Who could do it? If he says that there's at least 30, I'm thinking like, well, LeBron James could play football. I think that Anthony Edwards could play football. I'm trying to think of who else can play football. Besides like a lot of basketball players that don't necessarily make it in basketball end up being like football players and playing like tight end. Like, I know Jimmy Graham, I think, was a pretty good basketball player and couldn't really play it to the best of his ability and decided to go to a tight end to play tight end. Same with like Antonio Gates. He was a good basketball player too, but then decided to play tight end in football. I can't really think of many though that could do it. I think it would be possible though. More to play, maybe easier to play football, just because like, if you're like let's say like one of these guys becomes like a tight end or receiver, they could probably transition pretty well. It's just like reading routes, running. I'm saying like it's easy, but it's not. But I just don't see like an NFL player being able to transition to basketball where the aggression is a lot less than in football. I feel like that there's a lot more, skill, I guess you could say, dribbling and passing, vision, being able to like sort of play like with a finesse. That way, you're not really gonna foul anybody, because you can't really like fouling in basketball is super, super hard. Like it's like almost impossible sometimes to not foul somebody. And just knowing like football players have like so much more like, aggression than basketball players. Like, I feel like that they would have a very, very hard time of adjusting to like how much contact you can give the person without getting a foul. And just knowing that skill set, like I said, dribbling, passing, being able to time everything, having that kind of vision is going to be tough as hell for football players, I think. So, I guess he's kind of right on that. Like, I feel like, a basketball player would probably be able to transition easier than a football player to basketball. I don't know, but it's all like, I'm assuming that it would be harder for one than the other, even though I've played neither sports. But for me, I feel like throwing a football is easier than shooting a basketball. So, and I've played neither for that long. to know or to be able to really pick a winner there. But I think it would be easier to kind of play football than basketball. That's what I think. I don't know. I could be completely wrong on that take. And I feel like maybe the amount of players that are in the NBA that can play in the NFL is not as high as he's saying, or that he's claiming. He didn't give any names, but he did say 30. I just don't really see that many NBA players. Like 30, right? Okay, there's 30 teams in the NBA. 5 starters on each team. How many people is that? What would you do? 30 times 5? What is that? I don't even know math. I didn't go to school for math. I mean, let me just try. It's 30 times 5. 150. This is about right. So 150 players on a starting NBA lineup. Not starting. 150 starters in the NBA. And he's saying that 30 of them could play in the NFL. I just don't know if that's even possible, I'll be honest. That's one from each team. It's like one, like each team's best player. I don't know. I don't think so. Like I don't know if they can, bro. It's also it's a different sport. Like we can't really base it off like pure athleticism, right? Like just because you run really fast or jump really high or can lift this much weight and do this many push-ups doesn't really mean that you can play any sport you want, right? I guess, like I don't see like Wemby being able to play football. No way, it's not possible. Like LeBron, yes. Wembanyama, no way. Chet Holmgren, no, absolutely not. But then again, I can't really see anybody in the NFL playing basketball. I really can't like you basketball, like also it's a height thing, right? You have to be tall to play basketball, and he's saying like in the NBA, like you got to be giant to play basketball and be good. Unless you're like a really shifty point guard that's like 6'1", 6 foot. But even then, like you got to be like as good as like Chris Paul. And Chris Paul was like maybe 6'1", right? But he was still really good. He was like skillfully gifted. He could just throw that ball and cross over people back in the day. He was fast too. But he could also like get his own shot off. That's the thing is like, football, there's like other positions. Offense and defense, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, tackle, versus linebacker, cornerback, safety, what is it? Pass rusher, all that stuff. Like the one like position player that could probably transfer the best to the NBA would be like, I guess, quarterback and receiver, even though they'll still be undersized. Maybe a cornerback, like for defensive purposes. But like, even if your like main thing in basketball is defense, like if you're going to play in the NBA, you still got to be able to create your own shot. You still got to be able to get up a bucket and at least try to score, because what if the plays break down and you got to shoot a basketball. You got to be able to score some points as well. You can't just be relying on your defense. Whereas a cornerback is solely his purpose is to defend the ball or defend the receiver to not get the ball. Like that's his sole purpose. Like that wouldn't really transition well to NBA, even though that those are like probably the most elite athletes that play in the NFL, which is cornerbacks. I don't know. I just don't think that enough. And the number probably isn't going to be 30 to play in the NFL. But certainly I can't really think of any NFL players like transitioning to the NBA and being good. So he's kind of right, but also like I think he might be over exaggerating the amount that could transition from the NBA to the NFL. But it's a fun debate, though. It's fun. I mean, I enjoy hearing what people have to say on X and on all social media and even like on ESPN and stuff. It's fun. I love debating. I love talking about this type of stuff. I love it. And that's going to be it for me today, people. Thanks for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.